is just the organization's instant reaction to, the decision to suspend him, and what was the communication level with the league over, I guess, leading up to it?
Yeah, the league texted me the night of and said, if we need to talk to you, we'll let you know, and that they needed to speak to Draymond. And they didn't need to talk to me, and so they told me last night. They called me and said he's suspended, which, in their defense, what do they care what I have to say? I mean, they know what I'm going to say, so they don't need me to make the decision. So as far as how we felt, we've been here before, and we got to play a game tomorrow night. Once these decisions are made, there's no appellate court. It's over. So you can react however you want to react, but it doesn't change the fact he's not playing, and we got a game tomorrow night.
Do you think that a suspension was fair in this regard?
Well, I know you got to ask, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what any of you think. It doesn't matter what I think, because it's over. I got to focus on getting our team, whatever I can do to help the guys. Spoke to Draymond last night about it. Told him that when he shows up today, it's got to be about the team and helping them win. It's not about whether he should or shouldn't have been suspended. That doesn't help anyone. Like I said, they don't go back. Once these decisions are made, they're done. So, you feel however you feel, but I understand you got to ask, but it doesn't really matter.
The league's statement said, that the suspension was based in part on Green's history of unsportsmanlike acts. What do you think about Draymond's history playing a role in this decision?
If the league said it would play a role, it played a role. What do I think of it? Again, these are decisions they make. We live with them, and that's all we can do. And in the middle of a series, you don't have a lot of time to think about these things. You just like if somebody gets hurt, you got to play with who you have. And there's no lens into who's in the room and who said what. And I get a call, he's suspended. You find out, somebody tweets it out. That's it. End of story. So I understand it's a big topic. I totally get that. I understand that it has potential to affect things. But really, again, what we got to figure out is we got a big game tomorrow night, and I think we've got enough to win it, and we have to figure out how to make that happen.
Bob, how would you characterize that conversation with Draymond, sort of his reaction to this decision? And then separately, what did you think of the incident and how it unfolded?
Draymond's going to probably give you whatever answer he's going to give you. He was more quiet with me. All I said to Draymond was, whatever you have to say, don't say it tonight. That's all I told him. Sometimes he listens to me, sometimes he doesn't. But I'm always one that would tell somebody to sleep on a reaction before. And as far as I know, he hasn't said anything yet, but I'm sure he will. How do I feel about what happened? I feel bad because we lost the game. That's what I feel. These things are big parts of winning and losing, but having been in a lot of situations, just observing as a general manager and playoffs, there's all kinds of things. I mean, I've seen him suspended in a finals game. So this stuff happens, and I'm more focused, Ron, on what can I do. I can't do anything about what happened, and now it's about putting our energy into the game, really.
You mentioned the Cleveland series suspension. Do you flash back to that immediately, and can you give us a sense of what the team's reaction, just the players, Steve, yours, this time as opposed to what it was like that time?
Well, that was the finals. That's the biggest distinction. That was the NBA Finals, which, as you know, and many of you have covered our team, there's a different tension. And also what the distinction between that and this is, that was actually an accumulation of actions. That wasn't one act that led to that suspension. So there was a distinction there as far as a certain amount of points, and I think you were around us, you knew. It wasn't one game that cost him the next game. So that's one thing that's different. But also for me, if you're asking me, and you can ask Steve, you can ask Draymond, or he'll say it, or anyone, there's a magnitude of the finals. Not that this is the first round, but suspension in the finals is a completely different. The amount at stake is enormous. So that was what I felt.
Bob, Steve, everybody credits Draymond for walking this fine line of just pushing it just far enough typically, but sometimes too far. I mean, how you don't want him to change, right? I mean, but sometimes it becomes costly.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, winning is messy, if you want to be honest about it. The last 12 years are not perfect, or 10 years or however long we've been doing this. There's a edginess to it. There's tension. And certainly he's crossed that line, but he's been punished for it. So the people that are wanting to see a punishment, he got one. So yeah, Draymond's not perfect, but I haven't met anybody that's perfect. So I'm not going to sit up here and say he gets it all right. And I know you're not saying that, but yeah, that's part of the whole thing. But all in, he's been a big part of a lot of winning. But that's a personal thing. Everybody gets to decide what they feel about that.
Bob, going back to Cleveland, you've sat with him during his suspension and watched the game. Do you know what will transpire tomorrow night?
I don't know. I don't know, Ann. I think that felt like easy and obvious to do that. I don't know. I might see what he's doing. I don't, a lot of people don't know. He can't be in the building. I think you guys know that, but I think people assume he gets to watch the game but the rules are you're not in the building. So if he wants me and needs me, I'll do it. So I don't know the answer to that yet.
The public's gotten their own explanation for why he was suspended. When the league gave you the call, what was the explanation that you got? The one you got. Yeah. No, I didn't get anything different. I got what you got. They have a job to do. They try to do it the best they can. I don't buy into conspiracy stuff personally, but again, that's whatever everybody wants to think they can think, but they did their job. I don't, being on the other end of some of those decisions, because that's who they call me first. Depends on who you are as a person, how you respond. But what I've learned is it doesn't matter what I say. At that moment, it's done. It's over. So I call Draymond, I call Joe, I call Steve, I call Steph. But by the time I think I barely got to Steve before it was out, which I get that too. So you don't have a lot of time. So in real time, as you got the call, you processed it the way you did, but in real time, it made sense to you, or were you?
No, I don't. I guess anytime there's a chance something can happen, there's a chance it can happen. So I kind of brace for everything. You can put a percentage on it. I don't know what everybody's percentage was on it. You can write. You probably have opined on it. You think it's fair? It's not fair. It's good, bad, whatever. Anything can happen when a guy gets kicked out of a game. I don't know. So that's what they decided, and that's what it is.
How did you feel like Draymond moved past the incident in October? And do you feel like what happened the other night maybe took away some of the goodwill that he's built up in recent months?
I don't know. I think depends on who you ask, Connor. It's not fair if you don't work with someone every day, you can if somebody's public, you can think of them a certain way. But like I said, he knows he's not perfect. His mistakes are out there for the world. Every mistake he makes is blasted everywhere. That's the price of being in the public. Ours, mine, maybe yours are not put out there, but that's what comes with being him. And so, yeah, I think that each time he's misstepped, my hope is he learns from it and becomes better. And but again, I think he's been punished. So, like I said, for people that go, well, when's it going to stop? It's that many of those people might think this is a positive, I suppose. But again, people can think whatever they want. I'm not here to tell anybody what to think about it.
Bob, you said you talk with Steph also. Steve, how important are those conversations with the leaders who have been here before, whether it's also an Andre Iguodala, and what are those conversations like as well?
I think you'd be surprised how fast it shifts to, okay, now what are we going to do? Because everybody understands that we have a game tomorrow night and we're in the middle of a series, a difficult one, and that's the focus. And so I understand if you don't have an impact on that, but everybody that I talked to did. I mean, one guy's got to coach the team, one guy's got to play in the game. You know, Draymond's got to still be here and help until he can't. So the rhythm of the league, it just keeps coming. And so the game tomorrow becomes the focus after whatever that person wanted to say to me, which I'm going to let them say if they want to say. But they do that, and I'm communicating it, so I've already had time to live with it for a little bit. They haven't. So then I get the immediate reaction. But then I tell them, look, it's done. It's done. It ain't changing. So we got a game.
You said the focus turns to the game, and I think you said earlier that you feel like you have enough. How does this affect the game tomorrow night? How difficult does this make your quest tomorrow night?
Sports is crazy. I don't know. That's why we'll see what happens. I believe in the team. We've won without him before. We've won without other players before. We've won playoff games without Curry. So it's going to be fun. The crowd's going to be great. We've been good at home all year, and I'm excited. I mean, it's going to be a very telling performance. You know, it's going to be fun to see. But I believe it. I believe the players believe they have enough. I know Steve thinks we have enough, and we're excited to get a win at home.
Well, just a technical detail. Do the 2 flagrant points stay on the board?
Yeah.
Forgive me if this has been asked before, but you've had to do now a couple of these sort of impromptu press conferences this year. How has this year been for you, starting with obviously having to do one of these with Draymond and Jordan's incident, and then the Wiggins situation, and now again having to come up and sort of explain a situation the best you can that no one wanted to see coming?
Well, yeah, been up here more than maybe I wanted to be, but that's the job. I mean, that's what I'm supposed to do. That's what people that lead in any organization, that's what's required. But I can say honestly, there's been tougher years or years where I haven't been up here, but there's been a lot of things that don't get exposed that are as difficult, or years that are as difficult. So I don't like being up here for the reasons I've had to. I don't think anybody would. But I can also say that this year, as far as difficulty, they're all hard. They're all hard. When we won, we won 73 games one year and lost in the finals. And that's not easy, losing game 7 home. So for those of you who've covered us a long time, there's a lot of ups and downs. But yeah, sitting up here this year, probably more than some other years.
Bob, there have been times in the past, generally I think, when before a suspension is handed out, that the league office will contact maybe the player, somebody that's involved or somebody from the team. Did you anticipate hearing from them before the suspension was announced? Did you think that might be some dialogue beforehand? Yeah,
Mike, sometimes they want that dialogue, sometimes they don't. This time they didn't, but they spoke to Draymond. If I don't, every time it's different. And if you say, did I expect him to call or not? I didn't really have any expectation. If they needed me, they'd talk to me. That's all.
My understanding was that Joe didn't talk to Draymond until this morning.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's true or not. If that's
what he said.
Oh, that's what he said. Okay.
He talked to him this morning. He
maybe
said,
I don't know. Maybe they tried to. When it's in the hands of something like this, what happens is the league requests to speak to a player, and that's done through the league and the player security. But as far as sometimes the league doesn't, as I understand it, they make a decision. They don't need a player's opinion, or it doesn't factor in because they've got an angle on it, or they've got everything they need to know, and there isn't a question of something that isn't on camera. I mean, I can't guess how they do these things, but I don't know.
You've known Draymond for such a long time. What do you think about him as a person and a player versus what do you think is the perception of Draymond, perhaps his reputation as a person and player?
Well, he's a force. The guy's a force. He's unique. He's a leader, but he will tell you that he's made mistakes. And like I said, you can't hide from them. They're out there for everybody to see. He's got a good heart. He does. I know that, but that doesn't mean he's mistake free. I'm not. Nobody is. But he's, as far as I can see, a good husband, a good father. Those things matter. He's been good to his teammates. He made a mistake with the teammate. I hadn't seen him do anything like that to a teammate before, so yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about like what he's done for the organization, that's not up for dispute. I mean, he's helped us. Without him, we don't probably have any of the championships. So, but complicated guy, for sure.
Okay, Dumar's made it pretty clear that it wasn't just the stomp or the step that caused this. It was lack of contrition, speaking. I mean, like you said, if he had not spoken at all, maybe, or the egging on. Is there any way, I realize it's in the moment, but is there any way to stop that? Do you think we could have done something to pull him out of there and it doesn't get this far?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not down there. I went down there one time and thought nobody saw it. So I was like, I don't know, Tim. I mean, so many things. There's so much emotion around these games. And so could something been done differently? It's hard to go back and wonder, like, what should have or shouldn't have been done. And it's tough to say. I understand your question, but I just don't know the answer.